Good morning, everybody. Heading for breakfast, powered by the Sharp app. I'm Mark Drumheller. I'm here with Dave Gleckner. And March Madness has officially begun. Selection Sunday tomorrow, but all the conference tournaments in action. Betting opportunities from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep. That's exactly what we like. Dave, the madness is here. I couldn't be more excited, to be honest with you. All this action all day. It's exactly what we're looking for as sports bettors.
It is. And how crazy has it been already? We've seen SEC, which was a league all year that was all about home court advantage. Well, now these teams don't have home court advantage. You're watching Auburn fall off early, right? They're knocked off the top line. Duke got pushed to the edge twice already. These top teams are very vulnerable. We watched Providence yesterday just get absolutely whooped, right? And Baylor, they were on the one line. Now do they fall off the one line, getting an early exit? I don't know. It's just showing you what this tournament is about to be, and it's about to be mayhem, and it's awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be chaos, and that's exactly what we like. I mean, it is literally the most exciting time of the spring. I mean, once we get out of football, there's a little bit of a pause, and now we dive into March Madness. It's just going to be chaos for a couple of weeks. Listen, we got a great show lined up. We're going to hit college basketball. Obviously, I want to touch on a little bit of NBA. We have some UFC, some golf stuff. But first, before we get into all that, Dave, I don't want to spend too much time because it is the offseason of football, but lots of news coming out, and I just want to talk to you from a futures perspective. Three big names: Russell Wilson to Denver, Carson Wentz to Washington, Deshaun Watson to who knows, but it's going to be somewhere. What are your thoughts real quickly on, I think we share the same thing. As far as Wentz is concerned to Washington, this is a nothing, a net nothing. Doesn't really matter. Didn't even move the market, so you can kind of forget about that. I don't think it even helps them within the division. But when we look at Russell Wilson to Denver, right? Big shift in the odds. A lot of people jumping on Denver to win the Super Bowl. Russell Wilson MVP. I'm not quite there. What was your take on that move? And do you think this odd shift is warranted?
No, I talked about that a little bit on 4th and Go Wednesday night. I think the move that Denver got, they ballooned to 1,200 in most markets, is absolutely ridiculous, and it's ludicrous, I think, if you take that right now. And I'll say those words strongly. They're ahead of the Bengals in a lot of markets. Total disrespect. They're ahead of the Ravens. The only two teams in the AFC ahead of them are the Chiefs and the Bills. Look, they're not beating the Chiefs, right? They're not going to be the best team in the AFC West. That's a tough division. So they're going to be playing on the road in the playoffs, and you want to take them at 1,200? No, I think it's an overreaction. I think it's Matt Stafford. I really think people see, this quality quarterback gets traded. They were only one piece away. No, the Rams really probably were one piece away, not the Broncos. I think it's a little much. Do I think they're good? Yeah, but not this good. Not 1,200.
Yeah, definitely going to be better. But I think the most interesting part is Russell Wilson in the beginning. He comes out and he says, "Listen, I've had enough of this offensive line. I've had enough of Pete Carroll's philosophy. I need something new. I want to go to a major market, right? And really, finish my career strong." In a position that's going to accentuate like my skill set, right? And I'm not sure he got any of that, to be honest with you. Is Denver, bigger market than Seattle? Probably, right? But it's not a major market. It's not like he's going to New York or LA or anything like that, or even Chicago, for instance. And he goes from the NFC West, which is probably the second toughest division of football, to the toughest division of football, where he's going to have, I think, the most questionable coach, and he's in a division with, the Raiders, who were going to be better with McDaniels. The Raiders came, one play within beating the Bengals, who ended up going to the Super Bowl. You have the Chiefs and the Chargers, right? The Chargers go out and, they get Khalil Mack. They're going to be, one of the top teams in there. So I think when you look at from a coaching perspective, I thought this is what it was about: getting away from the offensive line, getting away from the coach. Big question mark with Nathaniel Hackett. Big question mark with a Denver offensive line that was outside of the top 20 in adjusted sack rate. So I thought it was an odd fit, to be honest with you, and I think that it is more noise than signal as far as the Broncos are concerned in the future market.
I think you're right. And look how much more disrespect. Tennessee Titans were the number one seed in the AFC last year. 22-1, and that you're going to go 12-1 on Denver. Tennessee still has 6 automatic wins in their division, right? They got Houston, Jacksonville, and the other Colts. Maybe not automatic, but 5 for sure. They don't have a quarterback. Yeah, it's just It's crazy. And to think with Denver, look at what they have offensively, right? They have Jerry Jeudy, they have Cortland Sutton. Would you take Metcalf and Tyler Lockett over those two?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, they're more healthy.
Yeah,
like he better bring that miracle water he's pumping to the AFC West, because those guys have trouble staying on the field. I just don't think that this is like a quick, hey, let's just smash Denver to the moon. Like I think it's going to be a little bit of a challenge there. Our guy Eric checking in, man. We appreciate you checking in. I know he's a big Raiders fan, and I like the Raiders in that division and getting Josh McDaniel. I think when you look at those two teams, I'm more confident in what the Raiders could do under McDaniel than I am with Nathaniel Hackett. I just think that, I don't know, man. I think it's very, underwhelming, from a Denver perspective. But let's shift gears before we hit the hardwood. Deshaun Watson, big news yesterday, right? Looks like he's going to be playing next year, at least some of the season. He's going to get traded. He's going to get out of Houston. Don't really want to touch on the legal stuff. Let's just talk about football, keep it on the field. Couple teams in the mix here, right? We're hearing a lot about the Panthers, hearing a lot about Seattle. I don't think that's legit. Like, I don't think that they give up everything that they got for Russell Wilson in order to just give it to Deshaun Watson. I think they try and draft a quarterback and start over. But the Panthers are legit. The Colts need a quarterback. Pittsburgh needs a quarterback. Any of those teams you think that people should try and get ahead of the market and fire on in anticipation of acquiring Deshaun Watson?
Yeah. You got to have assets. Obviously, what we just saw go for Russell Wilson, you're probably going to see now with the legal troubles going away, Watson's going to cost more. I mean, you pretty much gave away 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and 3 starters when Noah Fant was added to it. So really, my eye, it starts with 3 first-round picks, and I think it gets more. With that said, I don't think teams like back in the draft, like Tampa and stuff, and New Orleans, I'm not sure they can afford it. So I do see Carolina sitting pretty at number 6. I would have put the Commanders in that mix, but now with the trade of Wentz, I think they're out. So it's really the Panthers fighting against themselves. Maybe the Eagles. You do have to actually consider the Eagles will be testing the water with 3 first-round picks this year, healthy in the draft, and really maybe potentially one piece away from, being a threat. I won't say being a Super Bowl contender, but a threat. I think the Eagles will touch that water. I think they'll talk. I do. I think they're a secret threat.
I think they'll try, but again, it comes down to Watson, the no trade. Like, he kind of is in the driver's seat with this of where he wants to go. And I think if I'm him, we know he has a strong connection to Brian Flores. The Steelers needed a quarterback. They're pretty much a quarterback away. I mean, listen, they have skill position players. The defense is solid. Tomlin can make, chicken salad out of chicken shit, right? He's been doing that, with the Steelers the past couple years with Big Ben. I think that's an opportunity. If I were to try and guess where he would go and try and get ahead of the market, I would, go with the Steelers. I think if they had a dynamic quarterback instead of Big Ben, I think their story would have been a lot different last year.
I don't disagree, and I'll give you one sleeper. Atlanta. I think you could see a team like Atlanta. Watson's from that area, South Carolina, Clemson. They're done with Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
I mean, believe me, if they can get the right taste, they're sitting there at 8. My only fear with the Steelers, how do you get there with pick 21? How do you get to Deshaun Watson when all these other teams, have something? And if they're that good, those first-round picks next 2 years aren't going to really turn much. I agree it's the perfect fit. I just don't know how to get there.
Yeah, I just think with the GM stepping down, Flores coming in with Tomlin, he kind of campaigned with his head coaching search that they were a package deal. I think it could be Carolina, though. Carolina reports today coming very aggressive. Obviously, he played college ball in Carolina at Clemson. So a lot to keep an eye on in the NFL, Dave, but too much going on the hardwood to dismiss right now. We got to talk about college basketball. The conference tournament's coming to the end. Selection Sunday tomorrow. All the action's going to start. Next week's going to be mayhem. Anything that you see on the betting board today? I don't want to say hometown, but Villanova, probably the most successful team around here in Philadelphia, got the job done. They take on Creighton today. What are your thoughts? Do you think they can get it done? I like them here against Creighton. I know everybody's been riding Creighton and they've been, going to the bank, but I think it ends here with Villanova, to be honest with you. I think Villanova obviously is going to be able to play some defense, get to the free throw line. They do all the little things right. And I think this number a little bit short at 6.5.
Yeah, it's interesting that you talk about the number being short. Let's first talk about Villanova and what it takes in March to win a championship, whether it's the Big East championship or an NCAA title, and it takes a little bit of luck. And I think they had that in the St. John's game. They were tested down 17, got a late foul call, 2 clutch foul shots to win that game. Last night, another test. They kind of did control the second half, had margin most of the second half, covered the 2.5, which was big for us bettors.
And I didn't like them. I didn't like them last night. I was like, you know what? UConn's got the length here. I'll be honest with you. I was like, I don't know. But I feel like every time I bet against this team, I mean, I didn't bet them, but every time I think they're the wrong side, they end up proving me wrong.
Well, I bet them last night only because it was a revenge game. I think if you remember, there were some 5 straight foul calls late in the game. UConn up at UConn last time they played, some bad jump ball calls. Went Villanova's against Villanova. I thought it was a little bit revenge and got lucky. Maybe got lucky in the end. But let's look at this game. And you're right. It's a crazy game to analyze if you look at the first 2 matchups. Creighton won by 20 back in December over Villanova.
Yep.
Then Villanova wins by 34.
They brought the hammer.
So how do you break this game down, right? And now Nova had a few injuries back in December. They were coming off that ugly Baylor game too. It was right off that game when they only scored 36 points. So I think it was a Nova team a little bit in transition finding themselves. I think it might not be 34, right? But I think if you want to assess the games, you look at the game in January a little closer and you understand where Villanova athletically, a lot more athletic on the wings than Creighton. They're going to trouble their shots. Creighton has one great scorer, but outside of that, they really do lack the inside depth. And I think this is a good spot for Nova. I agree as well. I think you're going to see a lot of energy. They smoked Providence last night, right? Creighton did. And I think a lot of bettors are really going to roll on that side where Villanova is the steady train. I think it's a close game that Villanova pulls away and wins by 8 or 9 late. I think you get that number today. I'm with you.
Yeah, I think Nova's got it. Another big matchup. A lot of people are anticipating Kentucky, obviously taking on Tennessee. I think this is another short number. I think with a big Oscar in the middle, I think Tennessee is going to be able to get some points in transition. It's going to be a little bit of an ugly game, against the Vols. But I think this number reflects some of the success that we've seen recently with the Vols playing this Kentucky team. But I think that Kentucky, top to bottom, better team. They're going to be able to get it done today. I like them. Are you with me, or do you think the Vols got a shot today?
No, I'm with you here. I really do like Tennessee. I think they're a solid basketball team, but there's a lot of probably overreaction to what Tennessee has been doing lately. But the points about Tennessee that you really got to look at is they've beaten like 4 top 10 teams this year, and Kentucky is one of them. They've also beaten Arizona. I think they went toe-to-toe early in the year with Gonzaga. They're good, man, and with that said, they smoked Villanova at one point. Oh, they got smoked, but they're good. I just now, when the dust settles, look at the 2 games. I think Kentucky can dominate down low and really create problems for Tennessee shooting the ball. Tennessee's not a great shooting team. They thrive against teams in transition, like you said. Kentucky's not going to do that. They're going to take the air out of the ball, play a slower paced game in this game, and I think they're the side. I agree.
Yeah, I do too. I really think they're the side. And, I think that Kentucky's going to be motivated here to kind of make a statement. And I think that goes a long way. I think a lot of what you see, I think some of the story of these conference tournaments is, some of these teams that kind of need to play and need to win to kind of make a stand and really improve their seeding are getting a little bit tight. I think Tennessee definitely a team to look out for in the tournament, but I don't think they get the job done today. What is your best bet on the card today, Dave? What are you lining up, smashing as far as college basketball is concerned?
It's interesting. I've been riding this team the first 2 games of the tournament so far, and that's in the Big 12, and that's Kansas. Really dominated West Virginia. The score was 41-19 at half. And they won easily, covered the 9.5 last night. Once again, did the same over a scrappy TCU team that I know you were on earlier against Texas. And we get to a game today, the championship, and they're facing Texas Tech, who they've beaten twice this year, once in double overtime. And we're only seeing a 2.5 point line. It really opens my eyes. I know Kansas, I think this is their 15th or 16th Big 12 title game. They're either 11-3 or 11-4 in those games. I like Texas Tech, the Red Raiders today. They did a little bit of their survival game last night, beating Oklahoma last minute by 1 point. I think they come out sharp. I think they come out focused. Kansas has already been running away with teams. How it's going to be a little bit different of a fight. They're not going to be able to do that in the tough, and in 3 games in a row is tough. I think Texas Tech has been tested. I think they squeezed one out today, outright Texas Tech.
I love Texas Tech, man. I love that defense. I think that they're going to do a lot of damage in the tournament. I'm definitely going to be playing them to get into that kind of like mid-market, like Sweet 16, Elite 8. I can't wait for those markets to open up. Texas Tech, I think, is a lot. And they, listen, they let up a little bit last night. I think they come out focused today. I think they get the job done. I think they surprise some people. Definitely, I'm with you. But listen, we got about 10 minutes left in the show. We got a short one today, but I want to hit the NBA. I want to, college basketball. We got a lot coming up. We're definitely going to get into it in the next couple of weeks. But I want to touch on the NBA. Big game today. Giannis taking on the Golden State Warriors. And I think this is another short number. You see the Bucks here. I think that they have an opportunity. They've won 6 straight. You see them kind of rounding into form against this Golden State team. And I think Golden State getting too much respect in the market here. I like the Bucks here. I think that they're a team that's kind of gearing up and getting ready for the postseason in what's going to be a very, very competitive Eastern Conference. And I think until Draymond comes back, I can't back Golden State. But that's really my favorite play on the board today is the Milwaukee Bucks, I think, handling business against the Warriors. What's your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, it's a very interesting game. I'm glad you brought that one up. Golden State, probably to a lot of people's surprise, was the worst team in the NBA for a stretch here. And then they won their last 2 games. They're still 3-7 in their last 10. Listen, they lost to the Los Angeles Lakers. What else do I have to say? The Lakers just lost to the Rockets. And the Lakers have gotten to the point they don't care about winning anymore. They just want LeBron to score 50. They have no interest in winning games, and they beat the Warriors. It's a wild, wild line. I agree with you. I don't think the Warriors are quite the Warriors that, we expect to be on the court. I think this is more of a public line. It's really fishy. And Milwaukee is catapulted up to the number 2 seed in the East, right? They've come out of nowhere. And
listen, last 6 games, Milwaukee during this winning streak, plus 13 net rating. Golden State's not, I think they're 20th. They have a negative net rating during that same time period. I just think that this is just a little bit of kind of narrative baked into this line. I think it should be wider. I definitely like the Bucks in this spot.
So I'll give you one of mine in the NBA today. I just don't know how you cannot do this right now. It's an auto play, and it's fade Portland. I just look, Washington's favored by 6. Washington is complete trash, and we all know that. They've won 1 of their last 6 games. They really don't have much. I mean, they have Kuzma, but they're starting to work in some of their younger players like Kispert, their first-round pick from Gonzaga. Porzingis has finally gotten back into the lineup now. So you have a lot of better players actually playing on the Washington side. I would bet maybe the 5 best players are on the Wizards in this game. Portland has been beat at historic rates recently, almost 50 points in 2 straight games. They can't even crack 80 points. It's really, really bad up there. And I just think it's an auto play until we figure out what Portland is. Actually, Portland team under might even be the best play in this game, but I'll take Washington -6.
Yeah, for real, because Portland's a team that, I talked about this a little bit last week. Now, I played the total under when they played the Jazz, just because I thought that number was getting beefed up because they're like, oh, the Jazz are going to run in transition, but there was no way because Portland can't score offensively. Like, people look at Portland and they're like, hey, the defense is terrible, worse than the NBA right now. Offense just as bad. So they can't do it on either end of the court. And I think the market really doesn't know what to do with this team. I think that spread got up to 19 against Utah. It wasn't nearly enough. So, it's like, how do you play that? But yeah, I agree. Lay it with the Wiz. Take the Bucks. They're the 2 NBA plays today. Going to be a lot of fun, man. NBA really, coming down the stretch in the postseason. Our Sixers lost to the Nets, Dave. We didn't see a lot of movement in the futures market. We saw a little bit. I think I want to say, Milwaukee and the Nets now plus 280. We're still seeing the Sixers at around plus 320. Not a ton of market reaction in that after that big Sixers loss. Do you feel that's warranted, or are you a little bit, more hesitant on the Sixers' ability to be able to get it done in the Eastern Conference?
I am a little more hesitant, and it has nothing to do with how bad James Harden played.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little taken aback at how Maxey looks shell-shocked.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to need a third scorer, and it ain't going to be Tobias Harris. He proved to you once again he's not ready for that. He can be fourth or fifth, and that's all he's going to be. You need Maxey, and if Maxey is going to get bottled in like that, and really, like, he didn't even try and drive. He just looked so – not intimidating is the wrong word, but just so off course. And that bothered me. Also, the bench. The bench bothers me too. George Niang is our savior off the bench right now. I know Jordan will be fine, but you really Niang, Shake, Korkmaz when he plays, Danny Green, it's not good. So that's my fear after watching that game. It wasn't as much. Harden and Embiid will be fine.
I just think mentally they got to be ready, and they were not ready mentally. And I think all the emotion that went into that game, all the tweets, the funny tweets, and the Danny Green running his mouth on the podcast, and Brooklyn came in focused, and they've been there before. They're players who've won NBA championships. They know what type of intensity they're going to have to bring. And I think the Sixers, every player on that team went in that game scared as hell. And you could tell they were kind of looking for the refs to bail them out early. We saw that last year against Atlanta when they went down, and we saw a little bit of it. But I think they can grow. I think that, it's good that this happens now before the playoffs so they can get into the playoffs with the right mentality. But I'm still pretty high on the Sixers. I know you are as well.
Yeah.
But definitely was not the type of game that we were looking for. Listen, we got a couple minutes left. I want to touch on the UFC real quick, guys. I got like 6 units lined up on the Sharp app. Hop into Discord. The links are below. Get in the Sharp app. Get the plays. Went undefeated on the card last week. Was up like 6.5 units. Main event. I'll give you the free one right here. I think that this is a fight that, with the title shot implications with Ankalaev, I think he gets the job done. He comes out with urgency. I think I have a buy finish at plus 120. That includes the submission. You can get that at BetMGM. Not sure where the market's at today, but locked that in yesterday. But definitely take it. I think he gets the finish against Santos. Dave, do you have anything in the PGA before we get out of here? I know it's been a mess with the weather. Anything popping in the golf world before we sign off?
Yeah, sure. 2 matchups. I think they're going to tee off sometime soon here. We're going to get most of the second round in, maybe not all. It's going to be, they're playing through Monday, it looks like. But with that said, course is going to be wet. Pick and place. I'm looking at guys that are just, going to be accurate, hitting the greens. And I'm going to take Sung Jae Im over Tony Finau. Finau's just been a mess lately. He just can't seem to get his game going. He's a guy we've relied on in the past to really, be there on Saturday, Sunday, and fade then. He's fading on Thursday, Friday now. So I'll take Sung Jae Im minus 140. And I'm also looking at Tyrrell Hatton minus 110 over Casey. Casey's a guy, I think his game's been up and down too. I know I played him a little bit last week when he had one of the worst rounds of his career out in Bay Hill at the Tourney tournament. So I'll take Tyrrell Hatton. I think he's good for this type of weather. Good in the, a mutter, as we like to call him in the horse world. So I'll take Tyrrell Hatton. It's my 2. And my last one, Drums, I want to give out one more college basketball game.
Yeah, sure.
Watch out for the St. Louis Billikens today versus the Davidson Wildcats. I'll take plus 3.5. I assessed this game 3 weeks ago, took Davidson. I had it in an even game if you're a neutral court. Now Davidson's minus 3.5. I think we're getting value with St. Louis. 2 good 3-point shooting teams. I'll take St. Louis with the points here.
Absolutely love it. St. Louis Billikens, can't go wrong. Fired in there. Listen, plenty of plays. College basketball, NBA, UFC, PGA, you name it. Our guy Eric checking in, man. We appreciate you, brother. He's saying everything he bet in the UFC got steamed. He's looking for, he gets those odds early in the week, posts them on Twitter, does a tremendous job. He's on Jackson, it looks like. McKinney, our guy, up to plus 170. Definitely on a couple of those plays as well. I got everything listed over at the Sharp app. So come join the community. Tons going on, basketball, everything, golf, UFC, NBA playoffs are going to be coming up. So tons of action. Even MLB's coming back if that's your cup of tea. Not mine, but money to be made. Nonetheless, it's going to be a tremendous spring. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We will be back. I'm Mark Drumheller. I'm here with Dave Gleckner. Betting for breakfast. Let's go get some money.